Hello, everyone. It's Frank, and we're diving into the CDL X endorsement test. The X endorsement combines the tanker N and hazardous materials H endorsements, meaning you'll need to know a lot about safely transporting liquids, gases, and dangerous goods. This is crucial for keeping our roads and communities safe. Let's get started. What is the primary hazard of a liquid surge in a tanker? It can cause the vehicle to be unstable and potentially roll over or lose control. Liquid surge is the sloshing of liquid inside the tank, which can destabilize the vehicle. Okay, what's next? What does a baffled tank mean in a tank vehicle? It has bulkheads with holes that slow the movement of liquid from front to back. Baffles help to minimize the effect of liquid surge. Moving on. What is the minimum number of placards required on a vehicle transporting hazardous materials? Four, one on each side. Placards must be visible from all directions to identify the hazard. So what's next? When should you never transport hazardous materials in a tanker? If the tank has a leak, even a minor one. Any leak, no matter how small, means the tank is unsafe for hazmat transport. Next on our list, what is the purpose of a driver's manifest or shipping paper for hazardous materials? It provides essential information about the hazardous materials being transported, including their properties and emergency handling. These documents are critical for emergency responders. Okay, what's after this? What does the flash point of a liquid indicate? The lowest temperature at which its vapors ignite. A lower flash point means a higher flammability risk. Let's move on. What is outgassing in a tank vehicle? The release of vapors or gases from the liquid inside the tank, often due to temperature changes. Outgassing can create pressure buildup or release hazardous fumes. What about this next one? When transferring hazardous liquids from a cargo tank, what crucial safety step must be taken regarding static electricity? The cargo tank vehicle must be properly bonded and grounded to dissipate static electricity. This prevents sparks that could ignite flammable vapors. On to the next question. What is the proper procedure for driving a tank vehicle through a curve? Slow down before entering the curve, then accelerate slightly through it. This helps maintain stability and reduces the risk of rollover. Moving forward, what is the danger of a high center of gravity in a tank vehicle? It increases the risk of rollover, especially in turns or on uneven surfaces. Tank vehicles are inherently top-heavy, making them more prone to rollovers. Let's consider the next one. What does the ERG, Emergency Response Guidebook, primarily provide? Initial guidance for emergency responders during a hazardous materials incident. The ERG is an essential tool for quick, safe action in hazmat emergencies. And the next point, what is the meaning of outage when loading a tank vehicle? The space left empty in a tank to allow for liquid expansion due to temperature changes. Proper outage prevents tank rupture from liquid expansion. What's next? How far must you park from an open flame if your vehicle is placarded for hazardous materials? At least 300 feet. This distance provides a safety buffer in case of fire. Moving on to this. What must you carry in the vehicle when transporting hazardous materials? Shipping papers, emergency response information, and your CDL with the hazmat endorsement. These are required for identification and emergency preparedness. All right, let's see. What is a portable tank and how does it differ from a cargo tank? Portable tanks are temporarily attached and filled off the vehicle, while cargo tanks are permanently attached and filled on the vehicle. Understanding the difference is key for proper handling and regulations. What's after this? Why are smoothbore unbaffled tanks more dangerous than baffled tanks for surge? They have nothing inside to slow the strong forward and back surge of the liquid. The unrestrained liquid movement in smoothbore tanks can be very destabilizing. Next question. What is the primary hazard class for a material with a forbidden designation? It is prohibited from being transported by a specific mode of transportation. Forbidden means it cannot be transported by that means due to extreme hazard. Let's get to this one. What are the special parking rules for vehicles placarded with Division 1, 1.2, or 1.3 explosives? Someone must attend the vehicle at all times unless parked in a specially designated area. Explosives require constant supervision due to their high risk. Okay, what's next? What should you do if your placarded hazardous materials vehicle breaks down on the highway? Protect the area, set out warning devices, and notify emergency services and your carrier. Secure the scene, alert others, and get help immediately. Moving on. What is the hazard class for corrosive materials? Class 8. Corrosive materials can cause severe damage upon contact. So, what's next? What is the definition of a tank vehicle for CDL endorsement purposes? A commercial motor vehicle designed to transport any liquid or gaseous material in a tank or tanks with a total capacity of 1,000 gallons or more. This specific capacity defines whether you need the tanker endorsement. Next on our list, what should you do if you notice a dome cover on your tank vehicle is not securely closed? Do not drive the vehicle until it is properly closed and latched. A loose dome cover can lead to spills or contamination. Okay, what's after this? What is the minimum age to obtain a hazmat endorsement and thus X endorsement for interstate driving? 21 years old. Federal regulations set this minimum age for hazmat transport. Let's move on. How does partially filling a tank, especially with baffled tanks, affect liquid surge? Partially filled tanks can have more severe surge than full or nearly empty tanks. Even with baffles, partially filled tanks can be unstable. What about this next one? What is the primary danger when an empty tank vehicle that previously carried hazardous materials is not purged? Residual vapors can still be hazardous and flammable or explosive. Empty doesn't mean safe if hazardous residues remain. On to the next question. What does the identification number on a shipping paper and placard refer to? A four-digit number used to identify the hazardous material, e.g. UN 1203 for gasoline. This UN or NA number quickly identifies the specific substance. Moving forward, what type of fire extinguisher is required on a commercial vehicle transporting hazardous materials? One with a minimum rating of 10 BC. This rating specifies its effectiveness against certain types of fires. Let's consider the next one. What is the danger of driving too fast in a tank vehicle, especially on curves? It significantly increases the risk of rollover due to the high center of gravity and liquid surge. Speed and curves are a dangerous combination for tankers. And the next point, what does it mean if a shipping paper has RQ next to a hazardous material? It is a reportable quantity and requires immediate notification if released. If this quantity is spilled, federal authorities must be notified. What's next? Where must hazardous materials shipping papers be kept in the vehicle? In a pouch on the driver's door, or in clear view within immediate reach, or on the driver's seat when out of the vehicle. This ensures they are easily accessible to emergency responders. Moving on to this. Why is it important to control your speed when approaching railroad crossings with a tank vehicle? To ensure you can stop safely, look and listen for trains before crossing. You need extra space to stop a heavy tanker. All right, let's see. What is the significance of packing group on hazardous materials shipping papers? It indicates the degree of danger a material presents, e.g. I equals great danger, 2 equals medium danger, 3 minor danger. Packing group provides a quick assessment of the material's hazard level. What's after this? What precaution must be taken when driving a tank vehicle on wet or slippery roads? Drive much slower than usual and increase following distance to account for surge and reduced traction. Reduced traction combined with surge effects requires extreme caution. Next question. What is the purpose of the HM column in the hazardous materials table? An X in this column indicates that a hazardous materials shipping paper is required. It's a quick reference for documentation needs. Let's get to this one. What is the proper technique for braking a tank vehicle to minimize surge? Apply steady pressure on the brakes and release slowly to control forward surge. Smooth braking prevents violent liquid shifts. Okay, what's next? What is a placard used for in hazardous materials transportation? To communicate the hazard class of the material to emergency responders and others. Placards are vital visual warnings. Moving on. What is a potential risk of overfilling a tank vehicle? The liquid will expand as it warms, potentially rupturing the tank or spilling. Overfilling can lead to dangerous pressure buildup. So, what's next? What should you do if you spill hazardous materials during loading or unloading? Follow emergency response procedures, contain the spill if safe, and notify authorities. Containment and notification are key in a spill situation. Next on our list, why must vehicle inspections for tanks include checking vents and manhole covers? To ensure they are properly closed, not leaking, and functioning correctly to prevent spills or pressure buildup. Properly sealed vents and covers prevent leaks and maintain tank integrity. Okay, what's after this? What does a Class 3 placard indicate? Flammable liquid. This placard alerts to the presence of flammable liquids. Let's move on. What are the basic requirements for a driver transporting hazardous materials regarding attendance while parked? The driver must be in the vehicle awake or within 100 feet and have the vehicle in clear view. You cannot leave a placarded hazmat vehicle unattended without meeting specific criteria. What about this next one? What is the primary hazard of a compressed gas cylinder that is damaged? Potential for uncontrolled release of high pressure gas leading to explosion or toxic exposure. Damaged cylinders can become dangerous projectiles or release harmful gases. On to the next question. When transporting different hazardous materials, what reference helps determine if they can be loaded together? The segregation table in the hazardous materials regulations. The segregation table prevents dangerous reactions between incompatible materials. Moving forward, how can you prevent an empty tank from being considered full of hazardous materials residues? It must be properly cleaned or purged of hazardous residues. Even empty tanks can pose a hazard if not properly cleaned. Let's consider the next one. What is the importance of a 24-hour emergency response telephone number on shipping papers? It provides immediate access as to expertise on how to handle an emergency involving the hazardous material. This number connects responders to vital information quickly. And the next point, what is the proper procedure for securing cylinders containing compressed gases? They must be secured upright or horizontally to prevent rolling or falling during transport. Proper securement prevents movement and potential damage. What's next? Why do tank vehicles require more stopping distance than other commercial vehicles? Due to the effects of liquid surge and their typically heavier loads. The sloshing liquid and heavy weight increase stopping distance. Moving on to this. What is the purpose of a security plan for certain hazardous materials shipments? To prevent unauthorized access, theft, or use of hazardous materials. Security plans protect highly dangerous materials from misuse. All right, let's see. When driving a placarded hazmat vehicle, what should you do if you encounter a tunnel that restricts hazmat? Take an alternate route, even if it adds significant travel time. You must always follow hazmat routing restrictions. What's after this? What does a cargo tank refer to? A bulk liquid or gas packaging that is permanently attached to or forms a part of a motor vehicle or is an integral part of a trailer. Cargo tanks are integral to the vehicle structure. That concludes our comprehensive review for the CDL-X endorsement. Understanding these rules and safety protocols for tankers and hazardous materials is absolutely critical. Keep studying and drive safely.